scientist. That
Hi B, how we doing? I'll let you up in there.
Hey, Red. Hey, guys. I just want to take a moment. I don't really. I've been kind of contrived about it. I don't really want to call anybody out, but I've noticed. I can't help but notice that Dylan Borland is in this space, and I just wanted to extend an arm and a salute to you, sir. Absolutely love having you, and would love having your voice in conversations like
Hell
this.
yeah,
We're
good notice
actually
B. Fuck yeah, Dylan.
speaking.
Good stuff the other day, bro.
We're active. Yeah. We're actively speaking about gang stalking that's happened to community members, UAP witnesses, and other people in the community. That's really like a down trickle of what you guys at your level are experiencing. And there's a lot of testimony and evidence that it's all very coordinated and that it's something that's not organic at all. And it's very worrisome and absolutely, it's incomprehensible when you consider how this community doesn't, half of us don't speak to each other. Like all of these malicious divides have been like purposely sown, and it's been a grand scheme and beautifully done. But I think more people need to recognize
Here we
what's
go.
happening.
Here's the beauty of X Spaces. I think it's the real one. Dylan hopped up. How we doing, Dylan? Is this the real Dylan Borland or just a fan?
Yeah, my man, it is me.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm gonna
Great
be
to have you here,
real.
bro. Great job. Was it 2 weeks ago now?
Thank you.
You guys all killed it. There's a rap song, a dope ass rap song from Jeff Misatelli. You guys did a great job, man. Take it wherever you want, man.
Yeah, my man, I'm gonna let you and everybody else know I've listened to you guys for years. There are many whistleblowers who you are unaware of in back channels or currently. We listen, we pay attention. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. If you guys want it, it's down to you. We need your help. You guys need to go do it for us. And we need all of you. I understand the drama. I understand people's positions on certain whistleblowers, but it's up to you guys because we can't do it without you.
How can we
So
best help
love,
you
God
guys?
bless. Fucking never let Congress or the executive branch give up. You hold them to their word and you constantly hammer them on we want the truth because we know we're being lied to.
Writing our local politicians, our congresspeople, and yeah, you did mention the executive branch and in your hearing, and Tulsi you mentioned. How can we pressure the executive branch better to you know what I mean?
It's a good question. We're all trying to figure this out together because a lot of us want this out. We think it's your right to know reality. Social media is a big influence. Tulsi clearly wants to be president. I would suggest really going after Tulsi, saying, if you do this for us, people are going to remember JD Vance, Marco Rubio. You guys hammer the social media presence, get other people outside the UFO community involved. I went through hell and back with medical malpractice with the VA, denial of my DOD records, and more will come out. But it's up to you guys. We can only go up to the line, and many of us don't want to go to jail for espionage or, God forbid, like Kariaku get fucking sentenced to death, which he didn't for clarification purposes. But we need you, the public.
All right, man. Well, hopefully you stick up. I'm sure a bunch of people have questions. I don't know how long you can, but B, continue because you did call him out and you've been really supportive of his.
I,
Well,
I, Real quick, I'm not going to answer questions. There's things going on that will come out, but I just want to say we listen, we appreciate you guys, and we hope you guys can get there with us. We need you.
hell yeah, man! Great to have you up here. A lot of us really appreciate your testimony. My personal opinion was the best hearing. Not that the other ones weren't good or anything like that, but uh, 2 videos, great witnesses, a rap song. You know what I mean? So thank you, man. Um, we'll go to Tracy as his hand up, and then we'll continue along the audio. Then
Oh, I wanted to ask Dylan some questions, but if he's not willing to answer any questions right now, then I don't want to
put
force
it
him
out
to.
there. Maybe
So,
we could all think
but no,
about it.
thanks for
Maybe he
having me.
will. Maybe he won't. You say it out loud.
Well, I mean, just going with the topic right now, like, you know, um, first of all, thanks for testifying. You're one of my favorite people that testified. I like really like felt like there was something going on that's shaken you to your core and is like place made you maybe even feel like your back's against the wall. So I want to thank you for coming out and sharing your story. I was just kind of curious if you would go into any detail about some of the things that you've dealt with, like any kind of attacks or the same thing we're talking about right now, right? Like where people are harassed and
Yeah, I'll give you the heads up. That is coming. People have followed me for over 3 years. Whenever I got involved with this and I came out of the world I came out of, you'll hear about it. And when that is said and done, I will then answer questions. But The people who helped me along the way, I want them all the props and credit. You guys will quickly figure out who that is. And I mean it. There are some great people in this world and in this community that have done so friggin' much, and people will probably never know, but you will hear about that. All right, guys. Love you. You guys take care. God bless,
Hey,
and I'll talk to you all soon.
Dylan, I'm sorry, man. We do have a request. I understand you don't need to put your life any more at risk than you already have, but in order to foster a conversation, we do need your help to guide us where we need to go, what kind of conversation we need to have. Are you willing to follow everybody back who's a speaker on stage right now? You can always unfollow us.
There's a lot of speakers in here, and I'll let you guys know I paid attention for years. I'm letting this shake out the way it is at a moment in time in the future when I am comfortable to begin to hopefully get people motivated to move forward. Of course, that will happen, but just please respect that in the interim until I get to that point. I'm being very reserved.
Sounds good, man. And always
That's
feel
totally
welcome to come
fine.
back here and say how we could help you or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, this is really nice
Brother
to
Sarah?
hear that you guys listen. That's really dope. And yeah, I loved your testimony. Thank you for your testimony and for doing
Yeah,
that.
thank you too. But you and I got to have some conversation about Jada Kiss and Joel Santana and a lot of shit, my man. So we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, bro. Sounds good.
Thank you, Dylan. Hell yeah.
Salute.
Good stuff, B. See, B? I was not even noticing. That's the beauty of spaces, right?
Dude, I was tagging the hell out of you in the back channel. Slap.
The beauty of spaces, guys. And what Courtney and Sarah did yesterday is part of the beauty of spaces. These conversations, I think, a lot of the deconstructing, Tupa, right, of a lot of the weird shit going on happens in spaces. Does it not? LM, Sawan, getting to hear about, Amy Eskridge from people who knew her. You know what I mean?
Think about how fast spaces just are in responding to current news. Any other platform, you need to turn a camera on, you need to set the stream up, and if it gets more complex, if you're mainstream, you got to do all kinds of stuff. You can take to a spaces literally that second, that day. Remember the day I realized that was when everyone found out that they were getting cease and desist letters from a t-shirt company for putting UAP on their merch. And the whole community was blowing up. They're like, "Oh my!" They wanted pitchforks and torches to go take
Saucer
it
Co.
down. Yeah. So I threw up a space, but that was like the first one that was like really like, oh, okay. So things happen in spaces. People should recognize that. And yeah, it's wild.
That was dope. Dude, that was dope. That was so fucking dope. Clip the hell out of that.
I had to reco.
Let
She was like,
people
"Oh, Tupa,
know.
you got to be co-host for the
Right?
clip, bro."
Dude, I was getting my
Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. Also, as my friend Mr. Moskowitz might have to go, would you like to go now? Okay. All right. Mr. Borland, in your testimony, you described witnessing large triangular craft while stationed at Langley Air Force Base in 2012. Can you explain what you observed in terms of size, behavior, and why you're confident it was not conventional technology?
Great question, ma'am. So on the base, I lived in the barracks. There was a little smoke pit outside. I was there on the telephone and looking across to the flight line, and I see a white light pop up and stop about 100 feet in the air. I thought it was a weather balloon. I've seen tests from there before, weeknight, normal thing, not surprising. I actually finished my cigarette and I began walking up towards the flight line. There is a track, and because I was on 3 months of night work, I would walk the track at night when we were weather down. And as I began walking towards the light, towards the flight line and the track, the light then flies across the base, across the flight line, and as it flies to me, a triangle manifests around the light. I can't tell you if it's active camouflage. I can't tell you if it appeared around the light, but I can tell you that it was a white light, and then it was a triangle. It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze, dead. I remember how thick it was. It was between 1 to 2 stories thick, equilateral triangle. I could never see the top of it, and the edges were 90 degrees. There were 4 lights in total, 1 light on each corner and a larger light in the center, 2 to 3 times the size of the corner lights. But what was really odd was the outside. The best way to describe it is like looking at a James Webb telescope picture where you have the colors and then the black background. So The craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold, lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft. I'm under this for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then the center light flashes 2 to 3 times, no sound, immediately shoots up to commercial jet level minimum, in my opinion, and I immediately feel static electricity all over my body, and then I smell the smell of after a thunderstorm or lightning storm, that really strong summer thunderstorm smell. Gets up to flight level. I'm trying to get my phone reset, and I can only see the center light at this point. If I didn't actually see it take off, I would have thought it was a star. And then it hovers up there, and it begins to slowly move due east out over the Atlantic Ocean. I finally got my phone reset. The entire thing was about, from the time I saw the light pop up near the hangar until it took off out over the ocean, was about 15 minutes.
And following up to that question, after you disclose this information to the intelligence community, Inspector General, you're subject to phishing attempts and job blacklisting. How widespread do you think this is across the intelligence community for those who raise concerns regarding UAP programs?
It's a difficult question to answer. I think prior to David Grush and people beginning this process of bringing people into awareness of the reality of these programs and certain things people have witnessed, probably extremely widespread. I think today there's still an issue, but because people are able to come before you and people are speaking out, I think it has been somewhat less. I would hope, though, that people would, because if this goes back into closed doors, this is going to get really ugly.
What type of behavior have you witnessed from former AARO director Sean Kilpatrick as well as his staff in relate to this information you provided to them? Did they ever try to classify this information as non-human technology?
Good question. The problem with this is that I know what I experienced firsthand, and I know other things. I think the staff at AARO that I met with in March of 2023, I think they were good people doing the job they were told to do. I did not meet with Kirkpatrick. He was either not present or did not want to meet me that day. However, they did classify information about the reality of this subject, and it was very concerning because in my AARO MFR, they had actually referenced a former staff member that was the one who told me to go there, and they probably shouldn't have done that.
And real quick before my time is up, and we might go to second round of questioning just so you're all aware, how important, given everything that you've seen and experienced, is the UAP Disclosure Act of 2025 in restoring both public accountability and trust?
I think very important. I would hope, though, that the 7-year window could be shrunk, my opinion, but very important. The truth needs to be known. So this thing flies to me, it's a light. All of a sudden, while it's flying to me, this triangle appears. I can't tell you if it was active camouflage. I cannot tell you if it manifested around it. The only thing I can tell you is that light came and a triangle appeared around it. My cell phone gets incredibly hot and completely freezes and shuts down. I'm under it, and the first thought in my mind is literally, okay, so this is real too. Like, I've been in...
Redacted.
I've had access to things, and I'm like, okay, another thing that's real.
Hours, meaning hours.
I would initially suspect so. I mean, it was on the base due to things that I found out, having been in government for long enough and knowing certain truths and having been through the whistleblower process and understanding questions and why they're asked and how they're asked. I am now of the opinion that what I saw was not ours, but this gets into a troubling precedent, which is if that one wasn't ours, then why?
Keep those things in mind because we're going to come to those in a moment. NASA and Langley Air Force Base. But first of all, let's just talk about the triangle. I mean, this shape of aircraft is no stranger to UFO lore, right? In fact, in the 1990s, we have the Belgium UFO wave. This started in the late 80s and went into the early 90s. And there are photos of these triangular craft that were sighted over Belgium. This is one of the biggest UFO flaps in history. And the way that these craft are depicted are exactly how Dylan Borland explained the one that he saw. You've got a light in each corner and a slightly bigger light there in the middle. Now, considering that we're talking about the 1990s, I'm just going to mention that the Lacerta files spoke about this as well. Now,
and so we'll release the videos and we'll show the experiment as a proof of concept so everyone knows this shit's all real. Because right now they're just looking at a drawing and they're looking at this guy from the Skunk Works, you know, and just going, how the fuck are they going to build a machine that plays with time and plays with the fabric of space-time? And so we have to kind of educate people and say it's possible, it's possible.
Is that it? This thing?
Yeah, that's it, there.
Advanced electrogravitic propulsion, is that how you say that?
Electrogravitic.
Gravitic.
So what that does, what the machine does that we're building is there's an electromagnetic wave that is the foundation of everything, of all mass, of everything. Like some people call it 0 point energy, some people call it the vacuum energy, but like 1 inch of air could power the United States for like hundreds of years kind of thing, or maybe more. So what they got to do is isolate very specific atoms to where all the noise of all matter and cell phones and everything that's going on Earth can be separated from this one atom. And if you can do that with the right material, you can get access to that electromagnetic wave that's powering the atom, the invisible wave pattern that's under everything of all existence. And once you do that, it's not like splitting an atom. This is the power behind the atom. It's extraordinarily dangerous, but it's also what will turn that thing on, and it'll turn into a ball of light and just disappear. And I could show you a video of something doing that. That's actually on YouTube, you know.
Okay, tell Jimmy what it is.
This is the Craft and Secret Machines book. That's all I'm going to say.
And this thing is floating in the air.
It'll take a few seconds till they turn on the engine.
That looks pretty badass.
Oh, wait, you can see little lights dancing around on the bottom. But I think this was leaked on purpose because the guy's making it just hard enough to see, moving the camera around in and out of focus.
Yeah, right? Like it's got like, he's barely focusing. Boy, that looks like a drone.
Well,
it looks small too.
It's not. That's pretty big. I would think that one's about 40 feet.
Really?
Look, see the tail fins on the back? That's how you know it's not alien per se. It's built off, I think, technology that came from there, but you know, they don't need vertical tail stabilizers.
What's that big light?
Okay, this is the engine. They turn it on. So right now they're accessing that energy I told you about. Now, and watch what happens. It's gone. There's a pilot in that.
If that was in a movie, I'd want my money back.
Why?
This movie can suck my dick.
Why? Why?
It looks so fake.
Oh, you think that? Yeah.
It did look fake. What is that? TR3B is real?
These
Here's
ones
another one?
This is the same one, but these ones are stacked, and that's a drone that came out of one.
That's
I
a
think.
drone?
The small one is.
Oh, the little thing that came out the side?
Yeah. But if you can look up Black Triangle UFO and find hundreds of these videos.
So these are people, like civilians, that are getting this from the ground? They're filming this?
I don't know. I don't know where this one came from.
Jamie, this is not the same account as the last video?
It's a different video.
Started up next because it's probably a highly viewed TR3B video.
Right. How many views does this have?
474,000.
Damn.
There's hundreds. There's
so many people know now.
There's hundreds of these out there.
Oh, now it separates from the other one?
But everyone thinks it's alien, and that's not my belief.
So you think this is something along the lines like when they had the stealth bomber program and they
Absolutely.
were experimenting with these things?
Hey, Courtney, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for hosting this space at such last minute, but I appreciate you for doing it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely here for you. Let's wait and let it fill up just for a few before you get started here, but I'm so glad to have you here. I'm glad that you want to respond, and I'm going to create a safe space for you to do that. So, yeah. Whew. It's been a crazy time in UFO world, huh?
Well, it's been a personal hell for me for the last week and a half, I would say.
Yes, I'm still glad that you're here with us. Um, we will push forward. This is an important space. I'm glad everyone that's coming in is going to be here. Courtney and I have been in touch, and there's been a lot of bullying, backhanded comments that I think are unwarranted. And I hope that this space answers as many questions as Courtney feels comfortable coming forward and talking about. I'm positive that the truth always sets us free. Let the sunlight in. I'm also positive, that we come forward and as together as a group, we're not alone in this. And it at times though it really feels like we are when we're researching things. I'll say that when we're researching things, like as a researcher myself, when we're going down avenues we shouldn't be going down, it's scary. There's some waters that we tread, that I've tread, that Courtney's tread, that many of you have walked into, and it's not fun. It can be scary, and then you kind of want to walk away, throw everything throw everything away. I just want to, live. But then curiosity gets you, and you're back in trying to figure it out again. So, Courtney, let me know. Are you ready to delve into everything? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I've been ready for a long time. I've been sitting on this for a while, and have had plenty of time to do my due diligence. And I guess there have been some spaces that have been running on it. And, I just wanted to not be the story around this, but it keeps coming up. So I definitely want to answer people's questions, because the first thing that I saw was a bunch of just not factual things immediately, and aggressiveness, almost bordering on harassment. So, I stepped away from it to let other voices cover it. And I think that's one of the reasons why, journalists are so important in this field, is that they put their work out there for people to scrutinize and ask questions. And so it definitely warrants space to do that. I just didn't feel like there was enough safety until now. So, and I'm glad you're doing this. And I was, invited to do it by you. So I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity and also the privilege of doing it with you. I respect you as a researcher. You've walked your own journey in this, and you've seen what's gone down, since this happened. So I think we can be articulate, keep it narrow, and go wider if needed.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be walking this road with you right now, and I'm like I said, I'm hosting the space to create a safe space for you, so that you can come forward and give your side of the story, which I think is really important right now, because I think the document itself is really important, and I'd like to go into that.
Well, I think that's the first thing that I want to preface anything else with, is it's a historical document. So I felt that just my possession of the document was useless in terms of the field of study. And I do think this document may be debated in the future, but the more important thing that surpasses everybody being able to have it is that it speaks directly to certain things that are happening right now. in the momentum of whistleblower protections. So that was another reason.
So, okay, what about the document speaks to you about whistleblower protections?
There have been allegations by people in tight circles that are very exclusive, that there was pretty much like infiltration of the executive branch, and that there was lethal force that was approved at a very high level against whistleblowers who were in the legacy programs. That's one allegation that's been out there for about a year. Certain people have gone on podcasts and said they were threatened, harassed, intimidated, and it's been a continual theme in whistleblower protections, that the whistleblower protections that are there in the NDAA right now aren't sufficient. So that's one part of it that I feel is important to context the document with. In Age of Disclosure, Lou Elizondo spoke on the record and said he got a call that he should stop what he was doing, or that him and David Grush, they could be taken out, essentially. He went on the record about that in the movie, publicly. Now, it hasn't been released yet, but he said that. Very clearly stated that it was authorized and could be approved, and they needed to stop working on UFOs. So that's one aspect.
And then there's also I want to point out, Game Tech Politics came out last year and stated about the scientists. You remember this, that all went in and they went behind closed doors. They met with Congress members. They were trying to express to the Congress members that their lives were in danger, that scientists, physicists were being murdered. And then of course, Game Tech said that one of the aides was, the aide told him that one of the Congress members was completely shaking, because they couldn't get across the fear that they had with the paperwork that they were showing them. So they showed them a video of bodies, of NHI bodies, to get that across. So we also have that. I'm trying to think of other people that have come forward with threats against them. But yes.
So that becomes very timely, because one of the things that I originally contacted you about so long ago was about his statements, Game Tech Politics statements about the staffer telling him that certain high-level people were in Congress talking about Amy Eskridge and Ning Lee, and that they wanted to get the black tech out into the white world, but they were afraid because of what happened to those two scientists. So that's another context that's coming up now, right now, because it was Moskowitz and Luna who were on the steps when Matt Laszlo asked about the video. So people don't have all this history. So you kind of have to break this down to some degree, because Matt Laszlo had asked, had they seen this video of NHI and bodies, which was out there as rumors. And you've all seen what's happened now about them saying that there were going to be field hearings, and these statements about the NHI, have been taken out of context, because she said no comment at the time to the Congress people who saw that video, supposedly or allegedly, and then that was all walked back. And now no comment, which was kind of interpreted as it wasn't a no, a unilateral no. It was kind of left open that this might have happened. And so now that's blowing up as well. So you have to kind of give people a little bit of context why those two things are associated, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so we've got a few more people in the room now. I just want to say, we're talking currently about the Eskridge Jake Barber document that Courtney dropped 2 weeks ago on September 8th, the day before the congressional hearings And I wanted to create a safe space for her, which is why I'm hosting the space with her right now. It was sort of last minute. And then we're going to go into the everything that Courtney feels comfortable talking about the document, and then the whistleblower safety, which we're touching upon now. So, like, we're bringing out right now that whistleblowers are not safe. Physicists, scientists are not safe. Journalists are not safe. Congress is not standing up. They're pushing away ASCA polls. They're pushing away everyone who is trying to get the answers that obviously we deserve as being the public. These people work for us. We're not getting them. And so we're going to walk through this with Courtney and I, and then she said it was okay to open up the floor in a little while for Q&A. So just hang tight while we kind of walk through this. And I appreciate everyone for your patience and for being here. And also for showing up, because we're a community and we should be there for one another. So Courtney, however you want to go from here.
It's not the only document. So that's the first thing. There are other documents. But that was the document that I went out on into the UFO community to say to everybody, did you receive this document? If you did, let's collaborate. That was my first step. I read through everything multiple times. I saw how important it was to whistleblower safeties, and I wanted to work with other people, like reach across with other folks who may have had it. And this was days before Jake Barber's story came out. So the first step that I took was to figure out who was in the document, if I could, like whose identity was. I reached out to certain people. I described the document and I said, do you know who Sean Weaver is? And they said, yes. And I said, well, can you tell me who it is? And they said, he's coming out. He's coming out. He's coming out on News Nation. There's going to be a big story. And he's, had a change in his life from being in Black Ops. And he's coming out to support the UFO efforts and whistleblowers. And so I got from 3 different sources on the document that Sean Weaver was Jake Barber, but Jake Barber hadn't released his story yet with Ross. So I had several people contact me through X and Signal who knew me and said various things. The first thing was, don't release anything. Okay, that came through a friend who said this could destroy this big event that's about to happen. So I listened to that. The other thing that I heard from a journalist was, I'd like to see the document because the BIA, I have been tracking the BIA, which is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and their, part in all this. And the accusation in the document, if you've read it, is basically that the BIA was recruiting or contracting with Native or Indigenous people to be psionics, which tied into Michael Herrera's story. So Michael Herrera, at this time, people like Chris Leto were doing interviews leading up to the News Nation story. And he was saying this story is going to be incendiary. It backs up Michael Herrera's story. And then you saw several people come out right away. Like Ross Coulthart, he came out and said, yes, I totally back Michael Herrera, but not this aspect of human trafficking. It's not human trafficking. So there you saw another confirmation in the document immediately before Jake's story even ran, that the narrative had changed from Michael Herrera's national press conference at the National Press Club and then into Jake's story. So that was another confirmation because there was a ton of information online already on Reddit through Joey, my name is not Joey, who had much of this story word for word in the transcript already posted online from months before. So that's another way that I knew the document was partially legitimate because portions of it, huge portions of it, were already online. And People were coming out like Ross Coulthart saying, Michael Herrera, yes, I back him, but not the human trafficking part. It's something else. So as I watched that story unfold and the people who asked to see it or the portions they wanted to inquire about, I could see that the document was already there in the community by several different people.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, look, the two of you are two of my favorite people in all of this, and I just want to thank you both for your bravery and the work you've done. And I'm sorry that both of you have experienced a bunch of crap. I don't, I'm okay. I'm doing fine, but the attacks on me are nonstop digital phone calls making a noise. That happens 20, 30 times a week. Sarah's heard it. Linda's heard it. I can't remember if I played them for Courtney or not, but I mean, it's harassment. And the other is when I began talking about experiences and other things, I was punished, and the refusal to pass my security clearance to anyone until it finally expired is now cost me, conservatively speaking, in excess of $2 million in income. I mean, it's just you do this stuff and you take risks and you do it because your heart is in it and you feel it's time for this crap to end. It's time for us to be told truth, and you're punished for it. And Courtney, have you talked publicly about the physical attack on your home? That was really awful. Anyway, I'm sorry you guys are going through this. You're not alone, but we really do need Congress. People should call their Congress critter, Senator and House, and ask them to protect the whistleblowers.
Okay, I have done a pass, just a short, brief pass about what happened. In May. It was in May. I was out of town, and I've set up all my security, of course, and I went out the door and I saw myself lock the door on the camera. So to confirm that I didn't leave it open. So I went away to visit family, and then I came back and my door was open. And I shared that all my cameras, all the data had been scrubbed. And I didn't go into the final part, but this is probably the most terrorizing aspect psychologically, is that, in my bedroom, I heard voices, digital. And it was a man's voice, and he was saying no, no, almost like he was going through a checklist. So I turned the TV off and walked quietly in the bedroom to where I thought I heard it coming from. And it was coming from the one wall by my closet. So I'm sorry. It's been a rough time. So I didn't hear it. And then I went over to the other Blink camera in the other bedroom, because I thought if I got hacked and the voices were coming through because it was feedback, I was hearing them, kind of like a two-way channel. So I went over to the Blink camera and I stood very quietly and listened, and then I heard it again in the other room. I heard men talking and crackling, and so I quickly ran to where I heard it, and I heard it, and so it was very bizarre. So I called the police and the police arrived. They did a full check on the house, and I obviously knew that I had been hacked and was either picking up some kind of feedback from, some kind of recording device or some other kind of wire. So I went through the whole house. I called a friend of mine to come up and sit with me while I went through the crawl space and looked for anything. So it really turned up nothing, I'll be honest. And so I end up looking like very paranoid, but the police did respond, and now they've had to respond 3 times this summer on various incidents of people trespassing and then the motorcycle. So they're aware of it. They said if I can get some more film or whatever of the motorcycle, they can do a better investigation. But for right now, it's just being left open.
Yeah, I was talking about just I'm being careful. So if you don't understand this, don't worry. I was talking about the very kinetic attack that happened a while ago. That was brutal.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're talking about when I broke the Jason Sand story on SOR. So yeah, that was 2024, because that story broke in January. And so I was actually in Baltimore meeting with Jason, and we had a series of meetings. Once again, I was just following up on everything and all the history and the background on everything. And when I was away, there was a kinetic attack on my home in Alaska where they busted out, very much like Amy Eskridge's story, they busted out a second floor window, a huge plate of glass. And I, faced some pushback by some people in the community, way later after the story was broken and things had settled down. People were basically saying, like, say the names, because I had notes and investigations that I had done on all that. And I posted a photo of the window, that actually resulted in me finding more evidence in that, which I never released. But then I had two men follow me after I got home and the window was busted out and everything. I started carrying, bear spray with me on my walks, and two men followed me. It's a very scary story, but two men followed me down the road, military style cuts. And I had been walking in the woods before I hit the road, and I had taken some photos of moose tracks while I was on the trail. And so I'm down the road, and these two guys are kind of pacing behind me. And I turned around, to face them. And they stopped. They pulled up next to me. And they said, "Have you seen any moose?" And I was like, immediately, no. Because in my mind, I hadn't seen any moose, And so then they said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't see moose?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fucking sure, like I would have seen a moose, and I would tell you if I saw it or where it was, because they were kind of acting like tourists, but sketchy like." So they rolled up their window. They followed me down the road. They stopped. And I was just kind of paralyzed for a second. And then when I realized what was happening, I ran back up to my house, but they were already gone. So bizarre once again, but that's kind of when it all started. Yeah, 2024.
And
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it was okay and that you told that story, because people need to understand the level of these attacks and the threats and the actual physical violence that is occurring. And I mean, I had, just me personally, I had 12 different groups or corporations try to hire me because of my expertise and that which would be studied for Havana syndrome and some other things. And they said, "Look, we've run into a brick wall. We can't pull your clearance, so we can't hire you." And I added it all up, and it's in the millions. So anyway, whatever.
And I just want to really quick add that, Courtney, when the motorcyclist came up to your house, you ran out, you got dressed, you ran out, you got in your truck, you got to the top of the driveway, and you looked down the street. You couldn't see this, there was no sign of the motorcyclist at that point, and you looked down the street, and there was a parked car with its brake lights. It wasn't parked; it had its brake lights on, just a little bit down the street, and you like waited and waited, and then finally, slowly, it drove off. Experience and Dejan, I see you. Hold on, please, if you don't mind. And then I think you did like a drive around, and then you came back. But I just wanted to say that there was another car that was involved in that moment. And then also, how many times have you and I talked on the phone? And we know that we're definitely not the only ones on the line. So I want to throw that out there as well. And go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, well, I think this is good for people as an illustration of like what not to do. Don't follow the guy. But I was trying to see if he was around, and in that, and I'm so glad you brought this up because you should tell people, right away what happened. Trusted people that you rely on in moments of crisis because they're going to remember something that you don't. And yeah, there was a car. So following up with like special forces dudes, because thank God I have a few good friends left. They've told me they come in teams, and that is what I've experienced. They do come in teams, and look for similar faces that you see on your route because shit, I forgot about the whole part of the story. So I went down to report this to the cops, to the cop shop, and a motorcycle passed me. And then I went in and I reported it. So I noted that there was another motorcycle around. After I came out of the police station, he passed by again on a perpendicular street. So then I jumped in the truck and I paced him and followed him, and then he lost me. So yeah, it's important to notice coincidences like that, similar faces that you run across. I mean, it's ridiculous and horrific that we have to think about these things this way and these terms, but it is important to just check your environment, have that situational awareness, tell people immediately when it happens. They're going to remember things you forget, and always call the police first. It's something I've learned, and even though they might not have a fast response time, they're going to catch something you didn't. The cop that came up and did a little bit of forensic work, saw what I showed him, where the track came in and came out and how close it was, but then he saw other things that I didn't. So it's really important to file a report. And just in terms of the calls, I hear an echo when Sarah and I talk, and I hear my voice coming back to me. That's been consistent. As I've said, my phones have been hijacked multiple times, and all the software in my home and computer. So it's obviously somebody who has some high level skills, but I can't say who it is. I really don't know. So I don't ever make accusations about who I think it is, but there's obviously a pattern.
Yeah, I just want to point out that you mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to say it straight up. Jake Barber and his team had a firefight with another team trying to steal from them the evidence that they were sent out by their employer to get. I mean, this crap is not safe. If you're not willing to take real risks, don't.
Thank you, Science Bob. Okay, I'd like to get to experience. Experience, thank you so much for your patience.
Hey, Courtney, thanks for hopping on and speaking about this. I do have a lot of questions about this document, this text exchange. And I have my reservations as well. Like, if this is true, the details that Barber is talking about uncovers a lot about how security works and these black operations happen within potentially the legacy program, right? So now you said earlier that you feel like Jake Barber's a good guy. And when you initially dropped this document and pulled it back, the idea was that potentially Barber did not want that to happen. But if I'm reading this correctly, I mean, what do you think? Do you think this is legacy people that were potentially like, um, messing with you, or do you think it's something from Barber's side? You don't have to go into detail, but that would be my question, right? Like, who are the bad guys here that were fucking with you for even putting this out there? And then what in this information that was dropped in this document do you think they were specifically more trying to keep under guards, under wraps?
Yeah, sure. It wasn't Jake Barber who threatened me. I'll be real clear. It was another federal whistleblower who said, Jake Barber is going to come after you. Okay. So But I took that seriously because I trust this person implicitly. And when you get a threat like that, you do take it seriously. You have to. So I took it seriously and I took it down. All the stuff that happened and ensued afterwards, I don't know. I've asked many of the special forces people who I know, I've told them about what's gone down. And the interesting thing is that for some reason, and this is just totally synchronistic, legacy people seem to be able to find one another. That's just an underpinning that I've never talked about, but certain families, certain kids who are now adults, we tend to find one another. And so we're having an elevated conversation that people want to hear, okay? So I have to preface, what I'm going to say next with that part of it. Most of the people who I talk to have had legacy program experience. That's why I protect them the way I do and never say their names or who the sources are, because they're real legacy program people, and it is a serious thing, and they have their own backs to watch. So I don't want to be a contributor to their undoing in any way at all. I've learned that. So I think it is potentially legacy program, what is called antibodies. People on the task force use this term. There are antibodies out there. The people that aren't afraid to get their hands dirty is the second thing that comes up when they speak about these people. It's interference, it's surveillance, and harassment. And so when I contacted the Special Forces friends after the house was broken into in May, he said, this is the antibodies. They want to know, multiple people said, they want to know who you're talking to and what you're saying and how to predict what your next moves are going to be. So that's who I think it is, because it shows multiple state organization. These threats and intimidation have happened in Pennsylvania, Illinois, Montana, and Alaska. All my whereabouts are all my residences, and strangely enough, one place that I was traveling to that I never told anybody where I was going, this team showed up the next day. That's a whole other story. Also very frightening. And the antibodies seem to come around and to quell whistleblower testimonies, so they can't go to Congress. So that's who I think it is. That's just my own speculative and circumstantial evidence. And I think a lot of this is by design, honestly. I think Chris Mellon said it best on the preface to Lou's book, Imminent, that there is an intelligence breakdown. I think that's by design. I think the experiencers who are obviously caught up in this dark side of it for whatever purpose that might be, whether it's to monitor or see the way NHI is contacting individuals, it's all kind of designed to isolate and to stigmatize and to, keep people afraid, really. When you look at the tactics and the tactical aspects of just me telling my story, which isn't even horrendous as Linda's or Bob's, it's obvious that there's a pattern to it. The tactics that are used. David Grush talked about administrative terrorism, another level. And so it's a systematic problem. And so when you see a systematic problem like this, you can't just blame Congress. They've talked about their own issues with getting access. Luna has talked about being down at Eldon Air Force Base and what happened there and how they were obfuscating information and their access to it, and they're investigating something. I mean, Luna was an investigator put in charge of this issue as one of her tasks. So they've been giving the runaround too. And Eric Davis said it best. The way they have it all compartmentalized is for that reason, politically, because people come in office, they go out of office. If they get information, where are they going to go with it? So it's all by design. It's the military industrial complex.
My thoughts on it are, regardless of the truth of the document, how much might be true, how much might not be true, whatever's in here, I think we have to focus on this idea that Courtney was at least indirectly threatened by these people. And when these type of people with these kind of resources, people involved in what works, people who might even have authority from the executive branch come after you, I think that's very serious. And I think we should take it seriously that we have some people in the community who have been threatened by these people. I mean, we can joke about it, you know, make snide remarks about it, have some drama about it, but why don't we just sit back and think about what actually is at least being put forward as to what happened. This isn't a joke.
Yeah, it's like gallows humor, right? And I think me and Tiba are very aware of all this stuff being
Oh,
discussed. You
totally.
know what I
I'm
mean?
all into
You
gallows
just gotta
humor
like
for
laugh at
sure.
it all. I mean, let's be honest, right? If Courtney faced that for what she did, what do you think? What do you think about what me and Tiba have potentially in store, right? If we're blasting the fuck out of this document, being loud as fuck about this document, holding multiple spaces about it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, don't.
And I'm glad you're doing it. So that night that this happened, I was actually in touch with Courtney, and I was aware of what had happened, her being threatened, and I immediately said, "I'll put this shit out. I'm putting it out right now." But what happened was Hecker had already put it out. So that's kind of what was happening behind the scenes. So as soon as Hecker put it out, I just thought, okay, Hecker's got the biggest, loudest voice. He does not give a F about anyone threatening him. So I was actually very pleased that Hecker put it out,
Me too,
because
100%.
yeah, he does
It all
not
helps,
care.
right?
Yep, just
Rising
get it out
tide
there.
raises all ships kind of vibe is what I'm getting on this. So I think it's everyone good talking about it. I'm not trying to be dismissive of any of that like stuff, just to be clear. But I mean, people, we're allowed to laugh at some of this stuff, right? Just because, like, yeah, like we've been in the gutter for a while. Like this shit is real. Like when we talked to Allie Clark and she's saying she's getting gang stalked and having street theater and drones over her house, like we're not doing that for like fun, right? And even when she rolled out, people like tried to accuse us of that. It's like, dude, like none of this shit is fun. When Eric the Adventurer
Eric the
is
Hacker is really a funny name.
when Eric the Adventurer is saying he's gonna come murder suicide me, and multiple people are like hitting me up like, dude, like that shit isn't fun, right? And some characters involved that we're listening to.
Can I get the TLDR on their like Courtney talking about, because I was something is mixing for me in listening to this, and that's the harassment being explained in the document, right? And then the harassment that Courtney's talking about. I don't know which ones they're receiving and which ones they're referring to.
She's about to get into it, but she had someone basically show up to her house, right? Our CIFA stream just pairs with this all so well, in my opinion. Sorry, I just took a fat rip.
So she shared the document. Okay, here's what I want to know timeline wise, and maybe she'll get into it.
She shared the document, and then she immediately had weird stuff happen. Go.
Where'd she get the document from? How did she obtain it? When did she share it after that point? And when did the weird stuff start happening?
She's about to get into that. She kind of bounces all over the place, but I'm glad that she highlighted that first part. But she basically, when she posted it, she had like a guy on a motorcycle come up to her window and shit like that, and all her phone and electronics started getting hacked and stuff like that. So you know, stuff that has been documented by us and others in this community that does happen, like to people. So definitely, like I'm not trying to shit on her at all. Like I'm trying to give her.
She was actually contacted by someone with a threat about taking it down. So there was an actual contact from a third party with a threat, and that's why she took it down. And then the stuff started happening afterward.
What was the threat?
Well, I'd rather
She's about to get into
yeah.
it. But when I paused it right there too, one other thing I wanted to say with the executive branch is like the CIA to the executive branch point. Sorry to people listening who are gonna be like, oh my god, so many fucking annotations. But the CIA is part of the executive branch, right? Like all these other departments like fall under that, and like what Kyle was saying, it definitely, in my opinion, seems like, you know, like some of the shit definitely is outside the scope of the president. I mean, Donald can't have his finger in every fucking thing at all times, you know what I mean? That's why it's good to collect all these little stories and then you find patterns and shit like that. And even, right, John was super reserved about saying this shit. Let's see.
David Grush also has a similar story.
Oh, really? Can you go into that real quick while I find the right timestamp of this thing?
Yeah, I mean, he has the report of being, I guess, away. I don't know the details very well, but he definitely talks about leaving and coming back home, and he could tell people had been in the house. It was very concerning for him. Very similar.
Oh yeah. Oh that. Yeah. I didn't know if he had like a voice to school type thing. Okay, I found the clip of John Mandrowski.
Hey Red, can I ask you real quick?
Yeah.
Do you know what was she researching before this happened? Like, what's the timeline there? Do you know?
I know she was looking into Amy Eskridge stuff, and I know that's when stuff could kind of get dicey for people too. And she was doing like putting out public stuff about that. So that's my guess. Yeah, because it sounds like she had some stuff starting off before leak of this document. Although to clarify too, she did say that motorcycle thing literally happened the day she leaked the document. So, and too, but we've been saying, right, and like we had that one person call us crying, like this idea of like people going to your house is like very real and very weird. Yeah.